Champions League final preview. Real Madrid, Liverpool. We'll touch on the history of these clubs in this competition. Great histories here. The previous meetings, twice in finals, a couple times in knockout stages, and one in the group. We'll go road to the final, tell you where these teams finished in all their competitions and how they did in the Champions League to get to the final match day. Team news after that. News ahead for Ancelotti's Real Madrid and Klopp's Liverpool. Then we'll do some keys to the game. Then I got to pick, and that's how we'll break down this Champions League final. Real Madrid, 13 titles in 16 finals appearances. Seasons they won 1956, 1957, 1958, 1959, 1960. So just 5 in a row. Casually just rip it off. They won again in 1966, and then they didn't win until 1998. They won in 2000, 02, and then from 02, they didn't win until 2014. And then they had the three-peat, 2016, 2017, 2018. So those are their 13 titles for Real Madrid in their 16 appearances. 13-3 ain't that bad. Liverpool, 6 titles in 9 appearances. Seasons Liverpool have lifted the European Cup, 77 and 78 back-to-back. Then 81, 84, 05, the Miracle at Istanbul, and then 2019 against Tottenham. So that's the history of these clubs in the final previous meetings between these clubs. In finals, the 1981 final in Paris, one of Real Madrid's losses. Liverpool 1-0 in Paris. Sounds familiar, huh? And then in 2018, Real win 3-1. Ramos broke Mo Salah's arm. He also concussed Karius with 2 bonehead plays to give up 2 goals. Liverpool did equalize and made it 1-1, but then 2 bonehead decisions by the keeper who, might have been concussed. Probably was concussed, to be honest. So Real won that final in 2018, 3-1 in Kiev. So the 2 previous finals, 1 apiece, and this is the rubber game, as they say, the rubber match. So 81, it went to Liverpool in Paris. In 2018, to Real Madrid in Kiev. Knockout stages. 2009, round of 16, Liverpool 4-0 at Anfield. Then they won 1-0 away at the Bernabeu. And that's the last time Liverpool's beaten Madrid in this competition. 2021, quarterfinal. It was 0-0 at Anfield. Nobody could get a hold of the game, really. And then Real won 3-1 in Madrid in the second leg. So Madrid through in 2021. Then in 2014, 2015, they were in the group stage together. Real 1-0 at the Bernabeu and then 3-0 at Anfield. So Liverpool on the short stick of the matchups between these sides. But in the 2 most important things, the final and knockout stages, they beat them once and lost to them once in knockout, and they beat them once and lost to them once in the final. So, all right, road to the final. Real Madrid, La Liga champions, Ancelotti winning. La Liga clinched him to be the only manager to win the top 5 leagues. Ligue 1 in France with PSG. He won Serie A with AC Milan. He won the Premier League with Chelsea. He won the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich. And finally, after you thought he would have won La Liga when he was with Real Madrid previously, they win La Liga this year. So first in La Liga, not a Copa del Rey finalist, by the way. Group stage of this competition, top of Group D with 5 wins. They beat Inter and Shakhtar twice. A loss to Sheriff on match day 2 at the Bernabeu. That was a great match, if you remember. If you look back on that, I think it was a September afternoon or October, early October afternoon. I think it was October. So match day 2 at the Bernabeu. That was Real Madrid's only loss of the group stage. Round of 16, they lose the first leg. Mbappe, dramatic 90th minute winner. Then in the second leg, they're losing and come back in the second half. So that was their first comeback of the knockout stages. Then the quarterfinal. After our first leg win, Chelsea were up in the second leg and on aggregate, but Real forced extra time and then win it in extra time. another outstanding comeback. And then the cherry on top in the semifinal, City win a ridiculous first leg 4-3, which the pace was insane. The goals were fantastic. Not a ton of defending, but nonetheless, City won that ridiculous first leg 4-3. And then in the second leg, after City had scored, Real ended up forcing extra time with two very late goals from Rodrigo. And then Benzema wins it with a penalty in extra time. So that is how Real Madrid not only, got to this final, but got to this final quite dramatically. And it is a heck of a run in this competition to go against PSG, who are absolutely loaded, as we know. Chelsea, last year's competition winners. And then City, who could be the best team in the world if you really boil it down to what Man City have done, 4 out of 5 titles. Yeah, not in this competition, but sure, they are still an unbelievable team, right? So they beat City in a comeback, they beat Chelsea in a comeback, they beat PSG in a comeback. 5 wins in the group, and that has been Real Madrid's road to the final. How about Liverpool? Second in the EPL by 1 point, but FA Cup and Carabao Cup champions, both times beating Chelsea in penalty shootouts at Wembley. So Liverpool have a chance at a cup trouble, whatever you want to call it. In the group stage of this competition, the group of death, it was dubbed Liverpool, AC Milan, Atletico, and Porto. Liverpool, all they did was win all 6 of their matches in the group stage. Then in the round of 16, probably the toughest matchup, I guess talent-wise. Yes, you could say Villarreal were a more connected team more than Inter was. But Inter in the round of 16, Liverpool win at the San Siro, end up losing 1-0 at aggregate at Anfield, but 1-0 at Anfield, but they're through on aggregate. So round of 16 victors. Then in the quarterfinal, they scored 3 at Benfica in the first leg and then drew the second leg 3-3 at Anfield. So through from the quarterfinal to the semifinal. And fortunate because, yes, Villarreal are certainly a strong side in Champions League this year, knocking out Juventus and then Bayern Munich in the quarterfinal, because Liverpool were set to take on Bayern Munich. That would be a much tougher semifinal than it was against Villarreal. Nonetheless, Villarreal did give them a great second leg, but the first leg, Liverpool win 2-0 at home. Liverpool went down 2-0 in the return leg to Villarreal, but then 3 second-half goals won Liverpool the match and through to the final, which will be held at the Stade de France, north of Paris, Saint-Denis, I'm pretty sure, and move there from St. Petersburg, as we already know. Okay, team news for Real Madrid. Ancelotti is a 3-time Champions League winner as a manager, twice with Milan 2003 and 2007, and then once with Real Madrid in 2014. So he was the guy that got Madrid back over the line after that 0-2 to 2014 drought, or 2013 drought, with them winning it in 2014. We know the keeper will be Thibaut Courtois, who has played Liverpool historically tough. It takes usually a really well-worked goal or well-struck ball to beat him. So athletic, great keeper. And it usually takes something special to beat him. Now, so he'll be in net between the posts. Now, the Madrid back 4. Couple question marks here. Mainly the status of David Alaba. Came to Madrid on a free transfer after his contract expired with Bayern. Back in a Champions League final. Is he fit enough to join that back 4? The other question mark is Marcelo going to steal Mendy's left back spot? Because Mendy, I thought, has played well. That second leg against City, he was pretty good in the second half and really kickstarted some of that movement with some passes. So, question mark at center back, maybe less of a question mark at left back because, yes, Marcelo, a Brazilian legend, a legend for Real Madrid. was the, left back to Carvajal's right back, who Carvajal's in this lineup, obviously, right? At right back. But Mendy has been in better form, has played more games, and I don't know, it kind of would be messed up, in my opinion, to go to Marcelo, but maybe Ancelotti believes it. So that's only reason I'm bringing this up is because when I'm looking through previews for the match and, compiling information for you guys here, in the team news, it was like, yeah, Alaba, and then, some of the other things I'll get to in a second. But what about Marcelo back in for Mendy at left back? I was like, wait, what? I thought Marcelo was not the starter anymore in any means and would play cup games. So, not this cup, obviously. But anyway, so the big question mark, David Alaba. Will he be able to start and join Militao? If it's not Alaba, it will probably be Nacho in that center back role. So we know it's Militao. We know it's Carvajal at one center back spot and right back, respectively. But will it be David Alaba or Nacho at the other center back? And will it be Mendy or Marcelo at left back? So those are the question marks on the Real Madrid back line. Now in the midfield. The midfield that won them their Champions League titles. A midfield that's grown together. A midfield that's kind of matured together. Casemiro, Kroos, Modric will be the starting midfield for Ancelotti. Yes, Camavinga and Valverde, who I think will play up front. Him or Rodrigo will start up front. So I'll take on that question mark next. But Casemiro, maybe one of the best sixes in the world, if not the best number 6. Kroos, does he run like he used to? Not really, but still a magician with the ball and a pretty strong midfielder in positioning. And then Luka Modric, who turned back the clock, every time the ball gets kicked off because he just looks like he's 27 again, like playing for Tottenham, So Casemiro, Kroos, Modric will be the midfield. Camavinga will probably come on if they're winning. Probably not if they're losing. He might go more offensive with the sub then, but Camavinga is a great player. So then up front, is it Valverde or Rodrigo joining the talisman Benzema and Vinicius? Vinicius has really come of age in this Champions League run. Some big goals. The one away at City was fantastic. Some huge assists to Benzema. Some great, dribbling and hold-up play and drawing fouls and even tracking back and defending. He's had a couple of those moments in his highlight reel of this season's campaign. So it's got to be Vinicius, it's got to be Benzema, but who joins him? Is it Valverde, who is the future of this midfield, with Camavinga and maybe Tchouaméni, who it's rumored they've already signed. But it's one more final for Casemiro, Kroos, Modric. Now, again, up front, Vinicius, Benzema, and probably Valverde. I think he likes bringing Rodrigo in off the bench if he needs a goal. We've seen Rodrigo, I don't want to say take over a game, but, when you come in as a sub, if you start and you're a striker in a good team, you get, 2, 3, 4 chances in like a regular game. It's very rare for a good team with a good striker to get like one chance, But if you're a sub and you come on, you might only get one chance to make a difference in the game. And Rodrigo has shown that he's done that. And he's been really, really good doing that. So I think he'll put him on his bench, Ancelotti, and he will go with Vinicius, Benzema, and Valverde up front. So my pick for the Real 11, and I'm going to go with Alaba being fit. So Courtois, Mendy, Alaba, Militao, Carvajal, Casemiro, Kroos, Modric, Vinicius, Benzema, Valverde, because he's bringing in Rodrigo off the bench. So that's my guess for the Real Madrid 11. Let's go to Liverpool now. Klopp, a winner of this competition in 2019, made the final with Dortmund. Unfortunately lost to Bayern Munich, their biggest rival. It will be Alisson in goal. We know how phenomenal Alisson is, and especially is when Liverpool play the high line. His ability that if the high line gets beat to make a one-on-one save is second to none. It seems like he makes at least one or two one-on-one saves a game, and sometimes both of them are offsides, but sometimes both of them are onside plays. So his ability to just stop one-on-ones and let Liverpool continue with the high line defensively really lets Liverpool try to play the way they want to play when they don't have the ball, which is pressing and doing all the things that they try to do to win the ball back. So Alisson in net. Then we know who 3 of the 4 spots are in the defense. Andy Robertson, the Scottish captain, will play left back. Trent Alexander-Arnold will play right back. Virgil van Dijk, who unfortunately didn't miss the season finale against Wolves at Anfield, will be fit for this matchup against Real Madrid. And the question mark along the Liverpool back end is Matip or Konate to be Van Dijk's partner. And we've talked about this down the stretch of this competition when we're talking about team news for these big, knockout stage matches, knockout round matches, whatever you want to call it. So Matip seemed to have the pick in the league games, and it looked like recently it was Konate in the cup games. Now, Konate has played some really big games recently and shown up and scored from set pieces. Matip has been scoring as well, which is insane. But I think you have to go with Matip here against the experience of Benzema. If it was a lesser quality, striker in the sense of, it's Real Madrid, so it's gonna be a good player regardless, right? The striker. But if it wasn't one of the best in the game right now in Benzema, I could see Klopp maybe going with a Konate. But for me, I'm going to go, and I think Klopp should go with Matip, the veteran. I know it's a big call, and it would be a big moment for Konate against Benzema in a final and really help his growth and development. But I think you got to play Matip. I think you do. I think he's going to go with Matip ahead of Konate. Midfield. And here's Liverpool's biggest fitness question. It's not Mohamed Salah. It's not Virgil van Dijk. It's Thiago Alcantara, who's been a boss in the midfield since really getting healthy, staying fit. He's been sensational in the midfield, dictating the pace, assists, hockey assists, switching the play that led to goals. He's been truly fantastic in the Liverpool midfield and done everything he's been asked to do since coming to the Merseyside in Klopp's plans and tactics and 11s and formations, right? So his fitness level is a huge call up. If he can go and even give you 70 minutes at 100%, because he's not going to play the 90. And he probably wouldn't play the 90 if he was 100% anyway, depending on the situation. But if he can give you even an hour of 100% Thiago, you got to put him on the team sheet in the 11. So Thiago's fitness, the big call in Liverpool midfield. Fabinho, who missed out against Wolves after picking up a muscle injury midweek at Southampton. I think he should be good. I think he's fully trained, so he'll be ready to go in the whole of Liverpool's midfield. So we have Brazilian on Brazilian in Casemiro and Fabinho, which will be exciting. Jordan Henderson has got to be the third name for me, the captain. Box to box. Been playing really, really well when he's fit. Able to do a lot of things. Switch the ball. Dictate the pace. Yell a little bit at some people, right? Hold people accountable out there. So if they're all fit, Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago has to be in the midfield. If Thiago is not fit, Naby Keita will be the starter in his place in his absence. And Naby's not had a bad season either when he's fit. So that's the midfield question for Liverpool. And then up front, Diogo Jota, who has had a really, really good season and helped Liverpool in the period where Sadio Mane and Mo Salah were gone from AFCON. Jota's been the odd man out since the arrival of Luis Diaz, who's been an absolute lightning rod on the wing. So is Jota the odd man out? Firmino, for me, doesn't have a chance to start in this game over Diaz or Jota. And I love Bobby Firmino. I think everybody knows I love Bobby Firmino, but he's not in the best form, to be fair to everybody. And Salah on the right, Diaz on the left, and Sadio Mane playing this number 9. It's his final form. And he has played that position for Senegal before, but he's very dynamic on the wing. But when you have a guy like Luis Diaz who just runs at everybody on the wing, you put Sadio in the middle, and it pans out pretty well. So Salah, Mane, Diaz. I'll get to Mo and Sadio's contract issues or comments or whatever when we get to soccer transfer rumors in the next segment. But I think Jota is unfortunately the odd man out in a front three that will be Mohamed Salah, Luis Diaz, and Sadio Mane. So my guess for the Liverpool 11, Alisson, Robertson, Van Dijk, Matip, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Fabinho. I'm going to say Thiago gives it a go. Thiago, Henderson, and then up front, Salah, Diaz, and Mane. All right, so those are the teams I'm thinking of, and here's what I think are the keys to the game. And I just harped on it in the team news, but the fitness levels for both Alaba for Real Madrid and Thiago for Liverpool. Both very, very important players. The drop-off from Alaba to Nacho is really big. And I'm not trying to knock Nacho, but Alaba is a world-class player. You see what he does for Austria in so many positions. They put him all over the park because he's that special of a talent. And he is a really good defender, but you could have him in the midfield. You don't need him in the midfield with this team, but he's their first choice center back for me. Militao, not a bad player, but the gap from Alaba to Militao to Nacho is pretty steep, position to position to position. And again, it's not a knock on Nacho or Militao. I just think Alaba is a really, really special player. So David Alaba's fitness for Real Madrid, and then on the other side for Liverpool. I just harped on it in the last segment, but Thiago has been so good for this Liverpool team as he's kind of fit in. And again, he might not have the best numbers or goal tally or even assists. But if you watch the game and you see what he does with the ball, with creating space, with putting it, where it needs to be put, with the right weight, with the right flicks, with the right skill, all that kind of stuff, he does it time and time again. And he's been brilliant for Jurgen Klopp. And he's been one of the first names on the team sheet for me. If he's ready to go, 6, Thiago, put him in the midfield. We'll figure it out later. Because he doesn't kill you defensively. He does track back. He does make some interceptions. He's a tactical fouler. He fits in that sense with Fabinho. But if Thiago is fit, if he can give Liverpool 60, 70 minutes at a very high level with what we know he can do, which is big switches, which is great crosses, which is excellent passing, excellent weighted passing, flair, bravery with some through balls and all these kind of things, right? Bravery and challenges as well. That's a big call for Liverpool. And, Naby Keita, not a bad player. Certainly different from what Thiago brings, but, a guy that fits in Liverpool's plans for sure. But Thiago has been brilliant, and if he can go, that's a big, big plus for Liverpool. So the fitness level for both teams, specifically Alaba and Thiago, for either team. Now, which midfield commands the pitch? Because Casemiro, Kroos, Modric, they've played so many games together. And they know each other so well. And we've seen Modric, take over games. We've seen Toni Kroos put balls on platters for some of his strikers. And Casemiro is just an absolute engine in the middle of the park that you have to break the lines against him, because he's going to be almost in the perfect position to take away the pass that you think you're going to make. The pass that you think you're going to go through the middle that's open, here comes Casemiro to shut it down, right? So the Real Madrid midfield versus the Liverpool midfield. And Fabinho, who's got to do a lot of similar things that Casemiro does, win the ball back, tactically foul. When you win the ball back, be able to retain the possession, all that kind of stuff. So, Thiago, I've just ranted about. Henderson, workhorse, good passer, not the best finisher, but brave enough to take on the strike when he's open for it. Right, he scored some goals for Liverpool FC, some big goals. So, whose midfield commands the pitch? Huge key to this game. Liverpool's high line against Vinicius. Vinicius, his speed really concerns me. And not that Trent Alexander-Arnold is slow, but Vinicius is really, really fast, really, really skilled, and his chemistry with Benzema is outstanding on some of these crosses and cutbacks and all these kind of things that they're able to do on these counterattacks or these build-up plays or these little intricate 1-2s inside the box. But what I'm really worried about is Liverpool possession in Madrid's end, quick turnover, Vinicius against Fabinho because Trent Alexander-Arnold pinched up to cross the ball in. Vinicius against Henderson, against Fabinho, against the Matip in like a one-on-one situation where he's onside and Van Dijk's got to occupy Benzema. That I'm kind of concerned about. So Liverpool 100% have to get the high line correct. They have to trap Vinicius offside more times than he gets free. Because if he gets free, one of the times he has the skill and the flair and the bravery to score. So Liverpool's high line, which has been a huge thing in their success under Jurgen Klopp, because it really helps them play the way they want to, with the high pressing and the ability to take away passing lanes because the ball over the top is going to be offside. That's always in the back of their head. So Vinicius staying level with the last defender, and either a Kroos or a Modric or one of the fullbacks, somebody sending him when he's onside, and against the Matip, against the Fabinho in because it's not always going to be Trent versus Vinicius, because Trent is up in the play a lot of the times. So whoever is covering for Trent there, it's going to be a tough hole to fill for sure. Next, the talisman. And this is not a knock on Sadio Mane, certainly not a knock on Luis Diaz, but Mo Salah is the talisman for Liverpool. He's been outstanding since coming over. He's a special, special player, and he scores big, big goals. Not that Sadio doesn't. That's not what I'm saying. But which talisman between Salah and Benzema has a better game? Which player makes their impact bigger in this match? Because Benzema has been absolutely brilliant. He's been sensational in this competition. Big goals, big moments. The bravery of the Panenka okay, in stoppage time, in extra time of a semifinal second leg. Are you out of your mind? Mo Salah, Kareem Benzema, which talisman makes the more impactful stamp on this game? Whose final is it? Is it going to be the Benzema final or is it going to be the Mo Salah final? Because we know Mo Salah has circled Real Madrid on his calendar, and he wanted Real Madrid in this game. And I think he kind of wishes certain number 4 was back there in front of Courtois that he could get some personal vengeance on. But he'll just have to settle against the crest. So, Salah, Benzema, who makes the biggest mark? Then I have, finally, the pace of the match. Between, that first leg at the Etihad, City Real Madrid, the 4-3. The pace was unbelievable. Up and down, constantly, right? If this match is like that, I think it favors Liverpool more because that gives them more opportunities to attack a not structured Real Madrid. Liverpool have faced counterattacking teams all season because they've kind of held the ball on other teams' ends, right? Liverpool, I think, won a more up and down game. I think Real Madrid won a more structured game. Yes, they're going to try to take advantage of Liverpool's high line with Vinicius. They have to. That's a great way to get a goal, keep getting chances, high line, exposing the high line, right? But Liverpool are really good at playing the high line. So the pace, I think, for Real Madrid, yes, they're going to want to take shots at the high line. But I think they want to have the ball and have the ball in the Liverpool end because then if they turn it over, yes, Liverpool can counter, but they have to get it right. Whereas if Real Madrid have the ball on their end and Liverpool are, on the attack, on the press, whatever, with the ball, without the ball. But if the ball's in the Real Madrid end and Real Madrid turn it over, then it's almost definitely a chance right away. But if they turn it over in the Liverpool end, yes, there's more space. Yes, the counterattack could be on and it could be a roadrunner situation. But they have to get the pass right. They have to get the touch right. And then whether it's a pass or a shot at the end, you got to get that right too. So I think Real Madrid will want to play this game in the Liverpool end in a structured game where the counterattacks happen, but they start from the Liverpool end. They don't start in the Madrid end. Whereas Liverpool, I think, are going to want a more up and down game that exposes, Casemiro in a position where he's got to take Sadio Mane or take Luis Diaz because the fullbacks are up the pitch and Sadio Mane is occupying both Alaba and Militao. So I think Liverpool are going to want a more fluid game, a more up and down game, a game where, yeah, they're going to give up some chances. Yeah, they're going to give up some balls over the press and testing the high line, but I don't think Liverpool won a game where they're defending against Real Madrid. And when Liverpool get the ball, they have to kind of work it up the field progressively. Liverpool like to play balls over the top. Yes, do they have these goals that are like 27 passes from Alisson to Mo Salah's foot for a goal? Yeah, they do have that. But that's not the majority of Liverpool goals. Liverpool goals come from a lot of counter attacks, a lot of pressing situations, set pieces, all these kind of things. And set pieces is a huge part of this game as well, for sure. All right, so the pick, I'm going to be biased and pick Liverpool, right? Liverpool 3-2. I think Benzema gets a brace for Real Madrid, but I think Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah, and I think Liverpool get a goal from a set piece, and I think it's the big man, Virgil van Dijk, getting on the score sheet. So I think Liverpool win the game. Yes, slightly favored right now, but I don't know how you can, say this Madrid team is an underdog after the teams they've gone through and the team they still have, So that's what I'm thinking there. Liverpool 3-2.